Hi everyone, I'm Chris.
And I'm Corey. Join us on our foul-mouthed adventure through the 80s as we answer the questions you didn't know you had, point out the things you missed, and recap the behind-the-scenes stories that likely never happened.
You're listening to
That's Basically the 80s.
When there was no meat, we ate fowl. When there was no fowl, we ate crawdad. When there was no crawdad to be found, we ate sand.
You ate what?
We ate sand.
You ate sand?
That's right.
Yes, Corey, I'm ready.
You ate sand?
And yes, I'm always fucking I don't know that there's a million things that we could have quoted in this one, but that one I think we paused it and had to rewind it and watch it again,
Right.
didn't we?
We were both just laughing. That was so good.
I forgot about that part of the movie.
I love that he's just like so annoyed.
Just sitting there, waiting, I'm in jail. And the guy's just telling his life story, apparently, right?
You ate sand? It sounds like me talking to my kids when they're like telling me a story and come up with some random bullshit in the middle.
Only they probably really did eat sand.
Probably. But, yep, in case you didn't know from the iconic quote in the start, we watched Raising Arizona.
Yes, we did. I think this is my first Nicolas Cage movie that I can remember.
Yeah, me too.
And then I went straight from there to Con Air.
I was going to say Con Air, probably.
Then The Rock.
What's that one where he's like a cop in New Orleans?
I think Bad Lieutenant or something like that.
Those movies are kind of good.
Kind of like it was shot after the hurricane, right?
I think so, yeah.
Because he hurts himself or something. I only watched that one time, but that's with like Eva Mendes or something, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. I remember her. I don't remember much else. But, yeah.
Yep. And
So-
this is our first Coen Brothers movie.
Yep. And
So we're doing it right now.
Is it our first John Goodman movie?
Maybe.
Is it our first Baby Arizona movie?
Yep. It's our first one with babies that get left on the freeway multiple times.
That's true.
So
So there's a lot of firsts here.
you guys
So-
are listening to history. My God.
Yeah, so keep it together, guys. We will try ourselves.
Yeah.
Let's take a second and just tell everybody thanks.
Yeah.
Remind them where we can listen.
You can listen to us on any streaming platform that you want. Apple, Spotify, our website. Hosting platform is Anchor. We've
Yep.
got a new website coming soon that will be that's basically the80s.com.
Yep, Corey's kicking ass on that right now. I'm super excited for you guys.
Doing all the shit.
This is how our website went. Hey, Corey, we should get a website. Hey, Chris, yeah, we should. Hey, a couple months later, or a month later. So what do you think about that website? Yeah, we should probably do it. Then we're like, hey, most places have a website that are professional. And then I'm like, okay. So I signed up for website hosting place, and I fucked around with it for like an hour. And then I text Corey. I said, here's the login.
You do it.
So go ahead and take a look at that and tell me what you think.
Right.
That's code for Chris is getting pissed and he's about to fucking break his computer.
Mm-hmm.
And then Corey's like, oh, well, it took me like 2 minutes, man.
Yep. It's fine. It's all done. And yep, we would tell you what the hosting platform is, but they ain't paying us, so fuck that.
Yeah, we're paying them. And on that note, I want you guys to remind you about our Patreon.
Yeah.
We do weekly episodes there, and you can get some cool shit, you
Yep.
know?
Our last episode was a list of villains, not the A-list villains, just a list.
Just a list of villains.
It's pretty good.
And we sent out some stuff to our Patreons. Our $5 tier, we don't promise you anything beyond that, but we did all of our 6-month guys. We sent them out some extra gifts. And our 12-month tier, after we sent them some stuff too. And then, our $69 tier is always getting some bonus stuff.
Yeah.
And then also on Anchor, if you want to, you can support us there. And you just go to the Anchor page right there where you listen and just click on support. And, all that stuff goes to, we put all of our money back into our podcast. So
Yep.
we're here for you guys.
We just spend money on podcasts, and then like any extra money we get, we buy cocaine.
Yeah. Or beer, or,
But we don't really buy cocaine.
We do buy beer.
Right.
Sometimes we got to have a beer with our episodes, because even we can't handle our bullshit.
No.
So where do you want to start on this? Now that
Um,
we got the logistics out of the way.
yeah, logistics. Let's start with,
Should we just jump right into the beginning
Yeah.
with the photo shoot?
the movie's just really good. Hi,
Hi.
they he's going to jail. That's when he meets Ed.
What kind of name is Ed, anyways?
Right, short for Edwina. But I mean, yeah, he just looks at her and he's like, God damn, he's like, I'm gonna go to jail a bunch.
So I don't know if you saw my Instagram post or not, but I posted about this today.
Mm-hmm.
And I put a picture of, when they're coming into their house and then they take the picture and they got welcome home and all three of them are in the picture and everything.
Right.
And then on the tag for the thing, I said, oh, we can't have a baby. They had 5. Let's go steal one of theirs. What could possibly go wrong?
Right.
I'm like, who comes up with this shit?
They got more than they need.
So, yeah, I mean, we make a comical movie about a flipping kidnapping,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I want to use my new word.
What is it?
It's not new, but I kind of was liking it today for some reason. I was like, malarkey.
Malarkey.
Stealing the baby is a bunch of malarkey,
Mm-hmm.
so don't do it.
It does sound like... Do they say that in the movie?
No, I don't know why it
sounds
just
like
popped in my head.
something that the Coen brothers would put into a movie, like him just saying malarkey. But, so yeah, movie starts out, Nicolas Cage is going to jail for robbing a convenience store without any
live ammo.
live ammo, so it's not a felony.
Right.
And
So he's dumb, but he's smart dumb.
right.
And
then I love the parole board. They're like, "Are you a reformed citizen?" He's like, "I guess."
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. Are you lying to us? No.
You're just telling us what we want to hear.
He's like, "Well, yes." But yeah, they're like, "Okay, we'll let you out." And then he just leaves and goes and gets arrested again.
Right.
They're like, "Hey, what's going on?"
I thought you weren't telling us what you wanted me to hear, but I thought I was.
Right. Then the love story progresses on, and Ed's crying. She's like, "My goddamn, what'd she call him? Oh, fiance. My fiance left."
Right.
And then
he gets all pissed.
yeah. He's like, "That motherfucker."
You tell him to call me. You tell him that fucking hi says hi.
Yeah.
You're a piece
I'll
of
be in
shit.
cell block D,
Yeah.
cell number 7.
She's like, actually, that cell's full. You got to go in with this guy, and he's going to tell you a story about sand.
Right.
She just does it on purpose. She's fucking with him.
Probably, I would. But, yeah, then he gets out again, says he's not going to rob any more things, and then he robs him again, and then that time he asks her to marry him.
That's right. He got robbed just so that he could slide that ring on her
Yep.
finger,
He probably went and stole the ring.
Probably.
And then got her on there. But, yep, then it's like a happy family, and they're like, hell yeah, let's have, a bunch of sex and try to get a baby.
Right, and she just like tackles him on the way in the door.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know.
And then she's like, I'm barren.
And then they go to the doctor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I could just imagine this high sitting there. He's like, look, doctor, we've been doing a lot of fucking.
Yeah, we've been trying.
2 times a day, at least.
Mm-hmm.
But something's not up. And then I love the doctor because he's got this little like diagram.
Yeah. He's like pointing.
He's smoking a big old stogie and he's got this pointer or whatever.
He's pointing to it. Yeah, this motherfucker is barren right here. And she's all crying.
You see this spot where the baby's supposed to be? It's all fucked up right there.
There's nothing good there. He's like drawing a like frowny face and shit. So yeah, then she kind of just goes like all baby crazy, and she's sad and depressed, obviously, and like quits her job and everything. And then the guy that changed his last name to Arizona so he could sell a bunch of fucking furniture, they had the 5 kids, right? And then Ed's like, well, fuck, let's just go steal one of them because they got way more than they can handle. It'd be doing the right thing.
And then Hyde's like,
well, I'm just like, he just loves Ed,
He's just confused, He's not too bright, but he's like, all right, fuck it, I'll do it.
Yeah, he's just doing what he can for Ed. She's probably like, I used to be a cop. This is totally legal.
Yeah, it's okay. They've got 5 of them.
Right.
And so then he goes hauling ass up there, right? Gets a ladder. And I love it how he's just like randomly just picking up babies. Like, I'm just going to take this baby, set it on the floor here. I'm going to take this baby and put it over here. Like, what was he doing?
Right.
That whole scene, I was so confused.
Just get in, get one, and get out. But they're like walking around and like tripping on stuff and running with scissors. And he's like, fuck. He like throws one up here and then another one runs off. And
it's about to fall down the stairs. And
I love how the Arizona couple, like they're just sitting there in their chairs and they keep looking up. And they're like,
some kind of ruckus.
Yeah. So I hear a ruckus.
Then the mom comes up to like the babies. What was that ruckus?
Right. She just like walks up. It's so funny like that. The way that they directed that scene, they just keep looking up. Like, obviously, if you had like 5 new babies and there was like pounding and stuff upstairs, like you would be a concerned parent and run up there, but they're just looking up there like, what?
And then it's totally like a Coen Brothers thing to have one crib with 5 babies in there.
Mm-hmm.
You think that's going to work?
Probably not.
No, because one is finally going to fall asleep, and then the other one's going to be trampling over the top of them, and then that one's going to get pissed and start crying. Then they're going to, that's just an appetite for destruction right there,
Mm-hmm.
or a recipe for disaster.
And they waited a while for those babies. They were smart. I would be like, let's wait until those babies can like sit up straight.
Right.
Because they had to be like 6 months or so. They were like crawling and stuff.
Yeah, they were definitely larger
Mm-hmm.
than life.
I don't think you can crawl at 6 months.
I don't know when you can crawl. 8 months,
A
maybe?
year. 8 months to a year. We've raised kids.
Yeah, between the two of us, we've raised like 5 babies.
Mm-hmm.
So don't come to us for baby advice.
Well, my kids they didn't know what the fuck they were doing half the time. They didn't start walking or crawling on time because they were preemies. Those babies weren't, that she had, they came out fucking ready to do taxes and shit. They were ready. But
Yeah,
what
the
were all
dad's
their
sitting
names?
there like, it was like Larry, Derry, Jerry, Harry, Mary, and
Bob,
Arizona Jr.
Arizona Jr.
Dan Jr. What was his name?
Tom.
Donald
Jr. No. Harold.
Just for any new listeners out there, we are horrible at names unless you are Howard Hughes.
Yep. We know his name. That we named it.
Nathan
Jr.
Nathan Jr. I think there was actually, I was reading some of the trivia in this, I think there was like 18 different babies used to film this movie.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like back when they had those like labor laws that a baby could only work for like 10 minutes or something, so they had to keep switching them out probably.
Right, and I think one of them was like getting old and was starting to walk, and they didn't want the baby to walk, and so like the mom would put his shoes on backwards and inside out and shit to try and make it not be able to walk and stuff, so their baby would be able to be used. Of course, I might be making all this up too, but
who knows?
I have been working graveyards and stuff, so
sounds like a good story. So yeah, he finally steals the baby and then heads out, and then he gets home to show Ed, and Ed's like, fuck yes, we got a baby. They're all happy and everything, and I love how they just like sit it down on the chair and then they're just sitting there. It's just like another like quiet, awkward.
Right, they come busting into the house and they've got the, like we talked about, the welcome home, and they got the cake and all this shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, they just sit on the couch and then they just sit there and stare at it like that's kind of what it's like when you take a baby home.
Right.
You go to the hospital, you've been building up for 9 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or in your case, like 7 or less. And then you pack up this baby, you got your big old giant baby bag and your fucking tank full of baby supplies and just a whole mountain full of shit. And then you just, for this little tiny thing, and then you just go home and it just sits there.
Yeah. And you're like, what does it do now? And it starts crying. You're like, fuck.
Then it cries a little bit, and then it sits there again, and then it'll shit. And then it's like, oh, fuck, give it some food.
Yep.
And then you just sit there and you just look at it. Then when it's quiet, you're like, what the fuck? Do I go check on it? Or do I take a nap myself?
Yeah. I was all about napping whenever my kids would nap. And then my kids decided pretty early on in their lives that they're like, fuck naps. We don't do that. And I don't think that my kids have taken a nap since they were 2 years old. So it was like 4 years since I've got to just like have my kids, and then like, oh, it's nap time, you guys go lay down for an hour and sleep and I'm going to take a nap. Nope, they don't do that shit at all.
You ever notice that, you ever hear that saying or that meme or whatever, that like the stuff that happens in kindergarten for punishment
Is a
timeouts, or maybe not even kindergarten, just like as a young kid, you say, oh, you're going to get a spanking, or you're going to go to timeout, or you have to take an hour-long nap. And now as an adult, you're like, fuck, yes.
I'll do all those things.
You can go spank me and then put me down for a nap.
Right. I'll do anything.
What do I got to do? I'll fucking knock this shit off the counter and scream a little bit.
I'll paint on these walls. That is true, though. But, so yeah, they kind of just look at the baby. And they're like, well, what do we do now, And then they go to sleep. And then Hyde is talking about how, like, that night he had, like, the terrible dream. And that's when the tracker is just like, he's, like, cruising through the desert.
The motorcycle guy.
Yeah, he fucking blows up that.
He throws a grenade at like the rabbit, and then he shoots the iguana with his shotgun. And
I don't know why he was doing that.
He's just over the top.
He's a tracker and a poacher, but he's just cruising through town. And yeah, he's like, it's like an omen, just like this bad like thing coming after him forever. And then the family realizes that Kevin Jr.'s gone.
Yeah.
Nathan Jr.
Daniel Jr.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about that because I really liked the dad in that part because he was so bizarre.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, here, motherfucking reporters, get out of here, but
He's
go
like,
shop.
Right.
You know,
Hey,
we're going to give
remember.
a 20% discount.
Yeah, if you can find my baby, I'll give you $20 off of a couch. But I love how he's like yelling at all the people. He's like, you guys are all like, he's kind of like the captain. He's like, you guys are out here detecting shit. Like the captain from Bad Boys.
Right.
But he's like, what do you guys need my fingerprints for? My fingerprints are all over the goddamn house. I didn't take him. He's not here. He's like, there's 100,000 of you people looking in the one damn place that there isn't a baby. And they're like, they're kind of just like, well,
The FBI leaders looks over at the police leaders like, I just want you to know the baby's not here.
yeah,
Write that down.
right.
They've got their feet propped up on his coffee table and they're drinking his milk out of the fridge. And,
Right.
You know, it's just...
He's just, and they're like, oh, sir, why did you change your name from something to something? He's like, because you ever tried to name a furniture store
Nathaniel
Oshkosh
Dildos.
Bagosh or whatever the fuck? And they're like, oh, good point. But then he like goes on the news and he's like, hi, my baby's gone, but we still sell couches.
That's right, come and buy some couches. And then I'll give you a reward. And then at the end, to jump all the way to the end, because you guys have seen this, so no spoilers.
Right.
Just to kind of put a little more emphasis on the dad. He's like, oh, you want that $25,000 reward? How about some store credit?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll give you a line of credit in any of my stores.
You know, for
instead.
tax purposes, it's
Right.
better.
Could you imagine like stealing a baby? Like, how'd you get these nice ass couches in your trailer? Well, we stole a baby for like a few days, and then we gave it back, and then they gave us a line of credit down at Arizona's.
Oh, so you were holding baby hostage? No,
No.
no, that's not how it worked. It's
Nope.
just how it worked out.
Yeah.
But let's talk before we take a quick break. Let's talk a little bit about the jail scene again, just because I love this jail because there's always got the one guy in there mopping.
Uh-huh.
And that's like Bubba. You walk by, he's like, hey.
Yep.
He's like, I'll see you later in the showers. He doesn't say that, but you can see it in his eyes, right?
Mhm.
Then you've got the guy telling the sand story. And then you've got them all in counseling. What do you think of that counseling session? You don't even remember,
I don't
do you?
even remember it. Like, I remember them all sitting around, but I don't remember the conversations. That they
So
had.
it goes like this. You've got all these big hardcore criminals sitting
Right.
around. And then you've got the counselor, right?
Uh-huh.
And then he's talking to the big giant inmate, and he's like, all right, inmate Steve, when did you realize that you were an actual woman?
Oh, yeah. I do remember that now.
Just to kind of play on that little bit of comedy right there. And he's just
Mhm.
like, oh, I don't remember what he said, but it was just funny, just the way that
Right.
the Coen brothers did it.
Mhm.
You know, it's like,
Yeah, I do remember because then he kind of talks about, he's like, counselor said that I was just born, you know, with this way is probably the way that I was raised or something that makes me want to be bad and all that. But I do remember that. But I like how he's got like all his friends and stuff in jail, you know,
Right.
and we'll meet two of his friends as they break out of jail after we go to a commercial break. But what else do we want to talk about them being in the jail first?
Let's see.
Anything else?
pretty much all they do in the jail, we've talked about, you know, they get the pictures. I liked her old school camera.
Yeah, it was
You
cool.
know, I think that even in 1988 or whatever this came out, that camera was still way outdated.
Right.
They should have had, you would expect them to have some kind of, like, cool Nikon or I
Like
don't
new
know.
age shit.
Yeah.
What if like when she's doing the like mug shots, she's like on the second one, when she kind of likes him, she's like, all right, now drop your pants and turn to the right, and he's like, what the fuck? And she's like, these are the new, we have to do this now. You know, we take a picture of your face sideways, and then we have to take a picture of your dick too. And so I'm just following rules.
You know, there's been
He's like, but why'd you use your cell phone camera? And she's like, it's company protocol.
yeah, these are for a secret government project.
Are you the cop or am I? And she's just like, this'll do. And he's like, what? She's like, I said,
I'm
whatever.
going to Purdue
yeah.
College after this.
Right.
Anyways, we always find the best points to go ahead and just pause for a quick
Mhm.
break, huh?
Yep. So now a word from our sponsors.
That's us.
Yep. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Corey.
Well, it's 2021, so I got some kind of resolutions and stuff. One of the things that I was thinking about doing was I got some ideas in my head. I got to get them out to the world. So I was thinking about making a podcast.
I think that's a great idea. There's not a better way to get your ideas into the world.
And just put them out there.
You got to say them.
Yep. So, do you know what you do to do that if you want to make a podcast?
What do you do?
Well, you can download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. And you can just put them ideas down, and then the New Year's resolution complete.
Yeah. Well, you got any examples of those good ideas?
Yep, our podcast, which you're listening to right now.
Yeah, that's because you guys are awesome.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, welcome back, everybody. And before we jump back into the greatest Nicolas Cage movie ever made, I'm going to throw maybe the greatest 2000s movie starring none other than Brad Pitt right at you. Can you guess what it is?
Is it that movie where who else is in it?
Let's go with...
Is it Burn After Reading?
Nope.
Damn it.
Mike Myers.
I got nothing.
Hitler.
I got nothing.
Inglourious Bastards.
Okay.
Tell me what you think about that.
I did get it, but let's see. Inglourious Bastards. We have always really liked this movie. I think we've watched it a million times. I went and bought a world globe to hold like my alcohol bottles and stuff in just because of that movie.
Because of Mike Myers.
When Mike Myers, yeah, he's like, fetch me a drink. It's in the globe.
And don't be using your Magneto powers. You get that shit by hand.
Right. But Eli Roth is in it too, right? He's the Bear Jew.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a just over-the-top Quentin Tarantino movie, like all of his movies are, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Ultra-violent and crazy. I guess, like...
Very dialogue-driven with big spats of violence all of a sudden.
Yeah, isn't it like... Either you told me this or I read it somewhere, but that... I think that so all of Quentin Tarantino's movies take place inside the same universe, right? And it's all like I think that the violence and everything is supposed to be like hyped up in this universe because like the events that took place in Inglourious Bastards just made it like so the whole world is just like super amped up on like violence and sex and everything because they just like went into movie theater and just rat-a-tat-tat and like blew up Hitler and all of his people and stuff. So I think like that whole universe is just like hyper violent and stuff.
Right. I think that's just like a running theory.
Yeah.
You know, and it's cool because it works.
Yeah.
You know, because you've got, look at all of his movies. You've got Django Unchained from the Old West,
Mm-hmm.
and you've got The Hateful Eight, and those are newer ones, right?
Right.
But then you've also got Pulp Fiction, and you've got Reservoir Dogs, and Four Rooms, and Inglourious Bastards, and it's just, they're all amazing movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I like it because he pushes all the limits, but he does it really well.
Right. And then just like feet stuff too, because he's like into feet, which is like his own thing. So this is not about Inglourious Bastards, but I didn't realize this in Kill Bill until recently. But when Beatrix goes to who's the girl that she kills in her house and then talks to her daughter, and she's like, if you want to get revenge one day, then you can come find me.
I can't remember.
Her. But when she goes in and is talking to, when they're like having the coffee and stuff and her daughter's upstairs, when she grabs that cereal box that the gun's in, it's called Kaboom cereal.
Really?
And so it's just like foreshadowing that she's going to like shoot her through the cereal box.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, but there's just all sorts of weird like inside joke things there. But yeah, anyways, Inglourious Bastards. I mean, that is certainly a better story than some World War II stories, you know?
It's actually based on the actual events.
Right.
That's really what happened in World War II.
I mean, it's just a great movie. Like, so many really awesome, like, I never knew that one guy's name that played the Jew hunter. Is that what they called him?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was his name?
Christoph
Yeah.
Waltz.
Yeah.
I remember to name everybody.
Right, it's amazing. But like I really like him in all his movies.
For sure.
And he's in is he in Hateful Eight? Is he the guy that does he play the bad guy in Hateful Eight?
No. He is in Hateful Eight, but I don't remember which character he is.
I don't remember.
He's in Django Unchained for sure.
Yeah, that's what
maybe
I was
that's
thinking of.
one.
What's one where there's like a TikTok that everybody does where it's Christoph, but he's like drinking his Christopher or whatever his name is, but he's drinking like a drink and he's like, it's like a reward He's like sipping on his little coffee or something. I think that's from Django Unchained.
I think so too. I think it's Channing Tatum. I think that's the main villain finally at the end of Hateful Eight.
Okay.
Because he's coming to try and save his sister or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, none of them are really good dudes in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, it's just not much about Inglourious Bastards other than it's fucking awesome.
Right.
Right. And I just love Brad Pitt in it because he's so charismatic. He's like, oh shit, that's the best Nazi cross I've done in someone's forehead. Yeah, you know.
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci. And he, probably his best line too is, and he speaks Italian the third best, and he's like, I don't speak Italian. Like I said,
third best. I know, it is so good. Just that like Appalachian accent when he's just buongiorno, you know.
Buongiorno.
He's just sitting there in they're completely out of their element, you know.
They're just trying to get in there and blow the place up, and they strap all the dynamite on their legs and shit. Like, oh, this is a good disguise. We got him. So anyway, should we move back on to our movie?
Sure.
All right. So here we are back with...
Do you want to say the tagline?
Oh, yeah. You know what that is?
That's totally the 2000s. Or that's definitely the 2000s.
So just a little disclaimer, guys. It's about 8:30 at night. I've been up since 4. 45-minute drive to work. 12-hour shift. 45-minute drive back. 45-minute workout. Quick shower. Now we're recording. So
yep.
I may not be here all mentally.
And we're just sipping on water and vitamin waters. No drinks. Which is pretty awesome.
So,
all right, so we're back to Raising Arizona, and it's a really rainy night, and all of a sudden, from the ground, out comes John Goodman and his little brother, and that whole scene, like, I love how long it is, and he's just like, in the rain. It's like 10 minutes of just him screaming. I was like, this is like some Shawshank Redemption shit going on right here.
And then he just jumps back down. You don't know what's going on. Then he jumps back down and shoves his hand down the hole, and then just like pulls his brother out.
Right.
And then they go get like pomade, right?
Mm-hmm.
And fix up their hair, but then they don't clean themselves up, so they just smell like shit.
Yep. But at least their hair looks nice.
Right. So then they show up at their friend's house at 2 a.m. You know, these guys are already fucking tired because they've been fighting to get the baby to sleep until 1.
Right.
Because they fed it all that cake.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so then, obviously, the wife is pissed. Ed's pissed.
Yep.
She's like, they can't stay here. We fucking stole a baby.
Right.
And they escaped out of prison. So
it ain't going to work.
This is not any good.
Mm-hmm.
And then High's like, you can see him trying to add 2 and 2 in his
he's
head. He's like, do I carry the 1? Do I? What's the remainder? You know, just.
Yeah, because he's like, I know that like they're bad, but we're bad. And I haven't seen them, and I want to be a good friend to them.
He's like, we made toilet hooch together,
right?
You know.
But yep, they're like, God damn, you made a baby? That's so cool, you know. And they're all excited about it. And she's like, yeah. And she's just being like an asshole to them, you know, like, oh, how long you guys plan on staying, you know? And then she's like, we got some real friends coming over tomorrow, so you guys
get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out. It's just being a real asshole to him, you know.
And they look up and they're like, welcome home. Where'd the baby go?
Right. Oh, he went to his grandmother's, grandparents. Where? Chicago. And then that one's like, Texas. Well, they're divorced.
They're dead. I thought they were dead. Well, we wanted to see the resting.
Yeah, he wanted to see the resting place. I mean, like, that is like the thing that would happen if you stole a baby and didn't have like the backstory, right?
Just didn't have any plan at all. You're just like, oh, let's fucking strap this ladder to our old station wagon and go steal a baby.
Just go get it. But yeah, so then they go to sleep that night, and she's pissed, and she's like, whatever, you know, we ain't trying for a baby tonight, bitch. And he's like, fine,
whatever.
And then I think that he dreams again, and it shows Tracker cruising a little bit closer, and he's getting closer and closer, and I think that's when he finds the pomade, is right around this time.
Right, he finds the pomade, and it shows him pulling up to the hole where the guys dug out of the ground and whatnot, right?
He's getting closer, yeah. He's coming for him. And then I guess we could talk about how they go to, so Hyde does have an actual job through this whole thing, but he's talking about like how much he hates it because, you know, he
just drills holes in metal.
Mm-hmm. I had a job like that one time. It was like for a temp agency, and I only worked there for 3 hours because I went to this company, and I was just going to be like sort of like an unskilled labor person, and my only job was to just like, the guy told me I was just supposed to stand in this place with this grinder, like this grinder that was plugged into the wall, and then just like shave down any like barbs that were on like these like thousands of plates that were coming across, and I just had to like shave them down and then set them off to the side. And I was like standing in a puddle of water because it was raining, and like the electrical cord was all like frayed and stuff, like on the ground. And I asked him, I was like, is this safe? Like like I don't want to get electrocuted and stuff. And then he just went off and said that I was just like, like, you and your, these temp agencies, they send you the most unskilled motherfucker, just going off at me. I was like, I just don't want to get fucking electrocuted and then die, I was like, whatever. So I went on my lunch, and then I was like, I'm not even going back. I just left. I was just like, I'll just take the $30 that Manpower or whatever that company was would send me. So I felt like high at that point,
Yeah, I get it.
So anyways, that story introduced his boss. So then his boss, they go to his boss's house, or no,
they come here.
They come
because the wife shows up, and she comes in and is like, she's like, be quiet, the baby's sleeping. And she's like, oh my God.
Right.
And then High goes outside, and the boss's kids are over there beating the shit out of his car with like sticks.
Yeah, they're like kicking it and stuff. And he's like, hey, you guys,
scratching it.
Don't be too crazy. But right, he's got like all these shitty kids, and like one of them like writes in marker on the walls like fart. Right?
He's like, see, he knows how to read.
Right? Yeah.
I love how he just stared at it too, and they're just like fart. And then later, when the tracker comes in and sees her house, he just looks at it.
Yeah, he just looks at it. The house is all like torn, like a really bad like accident happened and everything, because that's like when they fight. And then he just looks down at the wall and it just says fart. But
kind of makes me want to scratch fart into the wall somewhere, just in case somebody
just to get it. But yeah, so they just decide to go for a walk, like him and his boss, and he's like, you got a really awesome kid. He's like, where? He's like, how did it grow up so fast? Like, this is the first time I've heard of it. And he's like a little bit older and stuff, and he didn't really have an answer for him, And he's like, oh,
I have those super sperms, so it just grew real fast.
Right, he didn't really have a good answer, which makes sense. But he's like, yeah, can I ask you something? He's like, do you ever just feel like there's just like this weight coming down on you? And he's like, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like, oh, life's, you're never gonna have the freedom and everything. He's like, yeah.
Right.
He's like, yeah, I know all about that. He's like, check it out, my old lady, when we came into town, she said you were cute.
She likes that fuzzy hair of yours.
And he's like, what? He's like, yeah. He's like, we're swingers, Like, what if we take? What if I take Ed and you take her? And then he just like goes rage on him. He's like, you fucking never touch my wife again. And like,
he punches him good too.
Yeah, he gets him. I would have been like, first of all, I haven't yet. I just proposed the idea. But he fucking but he punches him and he starts running away. You're fucking crazy.
And then he runs square into that cactus,
right into the cactus. But I mean, like, that just shows like High's love. He just loves Ed, and he's like, no one's gonna mess with me and my family.
He'll fucking punch you in the face. Mm-hmm. He'll steal a baby. The only thing that he had a hard time doing was kicking his friends out. Mm-hmm. But he does end up kicking them out.
Yep. So, but they just kind of have the whole conversation, and so this is what gets Ed kind of all like freaked out, because his boss's wife is talking. She's like, well, what about his vaccinations? And she's like, oh yeah. And then she's like, well, what about this and all these things?
You need to have you opened up a bank account? Mm-hmm. Do you have new plaid shirts for him?
Right. What's his fucking social security card number?
Is he allergic to peanuts?
Yeah. And then she's like, I love how like he comes walking in the house, and then she's like, hi, has he had his chickenpox vaccine yet? And I would have been like, you know that we fucking stole this 2 days ago. How would I ever know that?
Bitch, I don't know. I took the instructions, but I didn't take any other paperwork,
Yeah, they keep calling the How to Raise Your Baby the instruction manual.
He's like looking on the bottom of his foot. I don't see a stamp on here that says he's been vaccinated.
Just such a like calamity.
And so then they leave or something, right? Mm-hmm. And then that's when the friends come back.
Yeah.
And I think this is the most 80s moment for me that we've talked about, because his friends are just sitting there. Oh, because they get in a fight, right? Mm-hmm. And that's when John Goodman's character is like, look, this is all cool, but we
Right.
got to go rob this bank. But the 80s thing for me is they've got all the Bud Heavies everywhere.
Yep.
Like there's probably 25 different Bud Heavy cans. They're just cracking them more and more and more. And then they feed Hyde a bunch of the bullshit about robbing the bank, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then that's when the boss shows up again.
Yeah, well, the next day he shows up.
Yeah, he shows up again because that's when they're talking about it because they overhear him
Mhm.
in there because he goes outside.
Yeah.
And he's like,
So, yeah, I think like the sequence of events are, so he punches his old boss, and then on the drive home, Ed's pissed that he punched him, and then she's like, "You're gonna get fired," and that's what
and
starts.
Then they
there.
go to the gas station.
Yeah, and then he's talking about wanting to go in. Well,
He needs diapers.
Yeah, he needs diapers. So that's when he robs the gas station, and then that whole scene was just incredible.
Oh, yeah, she's
Yeah.
all, that some bitch.
Yeah, that's some bitch. And she just leaves him, and he's just looking with the pantyhose like, fuck, you know?
He's trying to run out, and that fucking nerdy-ass kid's got that gun the size of
Mhm.
a fucking truck.
Right?
shooting at
He
him.
just shoots at him, and he runs off, and then, like, the cops are coming, and then, like, a whole pack of dogs are chasing him, and they, like, chase him everywhere, you know?
Right,
Like,
he's jumping over houses. He's
literally running through
through
houses.
houses. Then he stops an old man in the street, and he's gonna rob his car. And the old man's like, "Boy, you're wearing a panty on your head."
Yeah. You got a panty on your head. He's like, get in. But I just love how like that kid just keeps chasing him with a shotgun, like boom, you know, shooting. And there's like 10 dogs chasing him, and they're like halfway across town over here. They go into another store. And like those cops don't care; they'll like murder 100 people to try to get this one guy that didn't, or even
This one
steal
guy
it.
that's trying to steal some Huggies.
Yeah. And Ed's just driving home. That son of a bitch. And then she just sees all the cop cars going by, and she's like, "Hold on a second, we're gonna go save Daddy," you know. And she hits it with that, and like turns around, and he leaves the Huggies, you know, eventually, and then gets in the car with her, and he's like, they're fighting.
She's like chewing his ass.
She's like, "You son of a bitch," and he's like, "Yeah, but I was just like, I'm trying to do this, and I'm a free spirit and stuff." "Oh, turn left here, honey." And then like, "Yeah, but you know," and he's like, "Yeah, well, you're Pullout Games Week anyways, and you're a bitch." "Yeah, I know, but you know, and why'd you punch your boss?" "Oh, here it is." You know,
They get the Huggies.
yeah, they get them Huggies, head off, and then that's the night when they're like, "Look, you need to come and rob this bank with us because we need to make all this money, and you're never gonna have any money to support a family. You just lost your job." And then he's like, "Yeah, that's right. I am a bad person. Like that's all I'm ever gonna be."
Right.
So I'm just. And then he writes the letter saying that he's gonna leave her to everything, and he's like asleep at the kitchen table, and then they wake up and they're like, "It's morning, motherfucker, let's go rob that bank." And then that's when his boss shows up, and he's
Right,
like,
right,
"Hey,
right.
motherfucker, I just figured out where that baby came from." And then his two friends are like, "Oh shit, they got a stolen baby."
There's a $25,000 reward.
Right.
We're gonna rob a bank and get a
that
reward.
Yep. And so that's when they steal the baby and tie Hyde up, and they're like, "Sorry, man, it's just business," you know. Like I'd be like, "You motherfuckers."
I love how High and John Goodman's character get in a fight,
Mhm.
and then the other brother's like taking the baby, trying to cover his ears in
Yeah.
the bathroom and stuff. Like,
They're
like
hiding.
he's such a little like caretaker. He's like, "Oh fuck, you don't need to hear this." It
Right.
reminds me of what's that? Like one of the Fast and the Furious movies. Jason Statham gets the little baby and puts the little earmuffs on his head.
Oh, yeah.
And he's out there kicking ass. But so then they get the baby, and then they run off, and then they go rob the bank
Mhm.
with the baby.
Yeah, because they like, they head driving off, and then Ed's heading home, and she's like, "Good riddance," you know. And then he shows up, and that's when
He's tied up on the floor.
yeah, Hyde's like, "We're gonna get him back, baby. You're right, I'm wrong." And he's just loading up all his guns and stuff, like trying to apologize to her, like, "You were definitely right about them." Like at that point, it's too late.
I'm changing my mind. I'm changing my attitude.
You were definitely right.
We're gonna get some new sheetrock in here.
Oh man, and she's just sitting there, like just pissed, like our stolen baby got stolen, you know.
Yeah, that baby's been stolen twice.
Mm-hmm. But so they go to the bank, right? And then they're like, "Oh, all right, let's go rob the bank." And then the little brother's like, "Well, what are we gonna do with little Junior?" And he's like, "Well, he's gonna wait in the car." And he's like, "Well, what if we go in there and get ourselves killed? He'll be out here in the hot sun for hours." And so they go walking in with the baby. everybody on the ground. And they all get down, and the John Goodman's like, fuck, where'd the cashiers go?
No, first they're like, freeze.
Oh, yeah. Freeze and get on the ground. And they're like, one guy's like, well, sir,
The old man's like, well, listen here, youngster.
would you like me to get on the ground or freeze? And he's like, all right, get on the ground and then freeze. And then he looks, where are all the cashiers? We're down here, sir. He's just like, oh, okay.
Well, cashiers get up.
You guys can get up.
Then when they're arguing over the fake name,
Mm-hmm.
right, because he calls it by name, she throws in like this fire hydrant
Yeah.
or fire extinguisher sized canister in the
The
money
canister,
to explode.
yep. Yeah. Ah, that's right. We're using code names.
Oh, well, first don't they go to the gas station first?
I think that
Or is that after? I don't remember, but
yeah, it doesn't matter if it's before or after, but they go to the gas station after, because they have the money in the car. That's when everybody shows up.
because
Right
it's
around
got
there.
my second old man favorite character.
Yeah, that
Because
guy.
the first old man favorite is like, well, you want us to freeze or you want us to get down? And then the other old man,
Right. That's
you remember him?
Mhm. Yeah, we'll talk about him when he's counting. But so then they rob the place, and then they go and toss the baby up on the hood of the car, and they get in. They're like, "Yeah, let's get out of here!" And they go driving, and they're like, "We did it!" And like, "Oh shit, where's the baby?" You know, and like that's the very first memory that I have of this movie when I was really little. We watched it, and I just remember like that scene where they're like driving, like you know, like trying to drive back because they left the baby on the road.
And it's just sitting there chilling.
Yeah,
like,
he's just
"What's
hanging
up?"
out. But yeah, they're like, they pull up, grab the baby, and head off. And then he's like, "Oh, I think the baby just pooped." And he's like, "Fuck, okay, well, we gotta
That's
get some-"
natural.
Yeah, that's cool. That's natural, man. He's just vibing, doing his thing. But yeah, they stop and
They're like, we'll never do this again.
right. We'll never leave you again. And I love how the little brother, he goes in and gets some diapers, and he's like, "Hey, do you know how to put these on?" And he's like, "Well, you just put it around the
Around the crotch.
crotch, up around." And he's like, "I know that, but do I gotta get like some fasteners or anything?" And he's like, "No, I think it's got some sticky tape on it." He's like, "All right, that'll be $3." And he's like, "Wrong, bitch, I'm robbing you."
Surprise, motherfucker.
Yeah, and he's like, "Get on the ground and count to 100 and then count back down."
Count to 825.
Yeah, okay, to 825 and then count back down to it just in case.
I'm
And
gonna
I'm
come
going
back.
to come back and check on you. And so he's like, 1.
One Mississippi,
Yeah.
2
And then
Mississippi.
they take off, and they're like cruising down the road. And, "Oh, where's the baby?" They left the baby again. And that's probably your favorite part, because
Right.
he's like 823. And he's like, "Oh, fuck this."
He gets up.
He gets up, he sees him coming back, he gets back down. 824. Like, son of a bitch, they did come back to check on me. Oh, man. What a funny ass movie. I can't even handle it. But at that point,
Then the money explodes.
that's the money explodes, and that's like Tracker shows up. So the money explodes, and then Ed and Hi, they see them, and so they show up, take the baby, and bounce, and they're like, "Let us go with you." No,
No,
that
the
doesn't
tracker
happen yet.
shows up and snags the baby
Yeah.
and throws him on
the hood of it and then drives off.
as High and them are trying to get the baby,
Yeah.
and they're like,
And then they take off, and they're like, "No, let us come with you. It's our baby too that got stolen." You know,
believe
They
it or
just-
not, we actually did just watch this movie.
Yeah.
I
mean, it
well,
was
it's been like 4 days ago.
3-4 days ago. But yeah, so then they cruise off, and then that's when that whole showdown happens, and they fight the tracker and everything.
Right, he tries to shoot him, and I don't remember how they don't get shot. He
I remember.
blocks it with like a piece of wood or something, right?
Yeah, something.
And then he pulls out his little chain whip.
Mhm.
He chain whips him. He punches him, and he headbutts him, and he throws him, and
He's
and then
getting
he
his
starts
ass
to
kicked.
drive off, and then High grabs onto the motorcycle and gets drugged. I mean,
Yeah.
High fights for
He's
his
fighting.
life, you know.
Yeah, he's getting that baby one way or another.
Then he's like, "Oh fuck, I'm gonna squeeze you to death,"
Mm-hmm.
and then he sees his little Roadrunner
Grenade.
tattoo.
Oh yeah,
So
because
he's
they
like,
have the
"Oh,
same.
I mean, he's smelly and he's trying to steal my baby, but he's got a cool tattoo."
Right. But yeah, then he blows up Tracker with his own grenade. Got him. And then that's the end of that. and then they take the baby.
They're like, oh, we fucked up. We got to take this baby back.
Take this thing back.
Turns out we're actually shit people.
Mm-hmm. And that's sad because Ed's like, we're going to take the baby back. I've been doing a lot of thinking. We're not good for each other, so I don't want you back either. We just got to get rid of the baby. So we're taking him back and then everything else. And then
Nathan Sr.
Mm-hmm. He comes walking. Yeah, he comes walking in. What the hell are you guys doing in here?
He's got this big ass gun. He's like, listen, motherfuckers.
Right. He's like, we found your baby. And then we didn't really talk about it, but the Arizona couch salesman guy thinks that it was Tracker that really stole his kid and was trying to extort him. He stole a kid. And he's like, oh, did you guys save him from Tracker? And he's like, hell yeah, we did. And then Ed's like, I don't want the reward. And Hyde kind of looks at her like, bitch, we can't even afford ramen noodles right now. You know,
we definitely need some new furniture. They got smashed.
We need some things. She's like, can I just look at him for a minute? And then that's when he's like, oh, that wasn't Tracker that stole that baby. That was you guys, huh?
And this is the part of the movie that's always fucked me up since the beginning of being a kid.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, you're not going to let them go.
Right.
They stole your baby. It doesn't matter if you think they're good people or not.
Mm-hmm.
You're calling the cops. And maybe that's how it actually turns out. Maybe he lets them go because he wants these fucking crazy people out of his house, and then he gets on his little cell phone. It's like, hey, kidnappers just left.
But he's like quirky too. I mean, he doesn't care. He's just like, someone find my baby and buy some stuff at my furniture outlet.
Right.
You know, so he kind of.
So it is kind of that whole just Coen Brothers like craziness, mm-hmm. anyways.
But I was like, the first time I ever watched the movie and was kind of like formulating my own thoughts about it and everything, and able to like critically think about it, I was just like, the way that conversation developed, I was like, is this motherfucker going to give them that baby? You know, because he's like, oh, you know, you guys can't have kids and stuff. Like, why don't you take him? Like, it is too much for us to handle and stuff, which would be really fun.
He does totally like psychiatrist those guys.
Yeah.
It's like, I couldn't live without my wife, and you guys need each other.
Mm-hmm.
You brought him back, so obviously something's good.
Right. So he kind of saves their life, but their marriage and everything. And
then we go to the other vision.
Mm-hmm. Then
which
was the happy vision, yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about that actually on my way home from work. Because
mm-hmm.
this movie was shot 30-something years ago, right?
Right.
They actually could like bounce ahead.
Oh, yeah.
And make the sequel now.
Raising Arizona 2 now.
Where they're older, get the same actors, they're older.
Yeah.
And then have their kid, have it be like, it wouldn't be about them, probably be about their kids or like their
mm-hmm.
grandkids or something. But I totally feel like that could be a thing.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And it would be...
That would be really cool. I
don't know why.
Let's write it. We'll do that.
We'll just send the script in and sign our names as Coens.
Chris and Corey Wardoen. But, so... They give the baby back, and he's like, keep on trying. You guys love each other. You guys need each other and stuff. And so then he has the happy vision. He's like, John Goodman and his little brother, I had a vision that they went back to jail. Maybe they weren't ready yet.
They just went crawling back in there.
Yeah, they went crawling back in. And that reminded me of something that we didn't talk about, but I really love the line when she's like, you two just broke out of prison. And John Goodman's like, no, ma'am. We released ourselves on our own recognizance.
Oh, that's the other brother.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we released ourselves on our own recognizance.
So we OR'd ourselves out of jail.
So we ordered ourselves out. But yeah, they were like, no, we're not ready for the world yet. We got to go back. And so they just
really needed some clean clothes.
So they went crawling back through the shit and went back, and Tracker died, and then
all ended well. Yeah,
Nathan grew up, and he's like, I always hope that when he grows up that he would think of us, you know, and all the crazy adventures we had. And that kind of shows like a vision of like Nathan getting older and maybe like playing football and stuff and kind of thinking about the crazy times.
Like, yeah, I think I can run so well because I learned how to run from dogs from my not dad.
I rode on motorcycles when I was 6 months old.
Watched a guy get grenaded to death.
I don't have eardrums.
Yeah.
Those have been blown out. But one more jump around when Ed goes running through the bank. Like running away. And then,
just lay down, ma'am.
Just lay down on the ground, ma'am. They're still all just laying down.
Yeah, the old dude that says, would you want us to breathe?
Yeah.
Just lay on the ground, ma'am.
Just lay on the ground, ma'am. I love the Coen Brothers for those exact reasons. Sure. They're so good. What's your favorite Coen Brothers movie?
Other than this one?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't they do Oh Brother Where Art Thou? That one, for sure.
I really like that one. There's a lot of the same, like visions and stuff, you know, like
for sure.
He has like George Clooney keeps having like the visions and stuff in that one, and there's kind of just like the one villain that's like tracking him and everything.
And I like how a lot of these directors will reuse some of their old actors.
Yeah.
Because they do. John Goodman was in that one too, and I
Yep.
think he did a great job in this as well. So I don't know. I really enjoy dialogue-driven movies a lot,
Mhm,
and
me
I don't
too.
know why. As long as they're engaging to me, I'll just sit there and watch the shit out of them all day. Be like, what happened in that movie? Literally nothing. They just talked. Maybe that's why we do podcasts.
Mm-hmm. I think one of my favorite Coen Brothers movie, I mentioned it earlier, but I really like Burn After Reading a lot.
Right.
And then The Men Who Stare at Goats. That one's really good too. I love that movie.
The only part I really remember about that is when he's cloud bursting.
Uh-huh.
And they're driving through the desert, and she's like, what are you doing? I'm cloud bursting. And then he hits that one fucking rock. She's like, you hit one rock.
Yeah.
Did they do Leatherheads too?
I think so, yeah.
The one where about like the 1920s football
Mm-hmm.
with George Clooney also. Shit, we could do a whole Coen Brothers set, huh?
Yeah, we could.
So,
I could watch all those movies and I would enjoy every bit of it.
you got anything else for these lovely listeners of ours?
I
Other than to remind them to sign up for our Patreon and give us some support that way.
don't think Leatherheads is a
Oh.
Coen Brothers movie. But, nope. Anyways, yeah. Thanks for listening, and we appreciate. Chris is trying to do like a fart noise with his hand or something,
It
but
was kind of working.
it was working a little bit. But yeah, thank you for listening. If you've gotten this far, then congratulations, because we were all over the place. But this is a great movie, and we had to hit all
I
the
think
high
we
points.
actually stayed.
I mean,
kinda
we
on
definitely
point.
talked like the movie the whole time, which is weird, but
Yeah.
we just bounced all over like we normally do.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, we'd love it if you would let your friends and family know if
Oh, yeah,
you
share.
think they would like this type of comedy.
Sure, for sure.
And leave us a review on iTunes if you subscribe to that platform, because that helps us get found when people type in different things. So
And go ahead and subscribe.
yeah,
If your platform offers a subscription, just subscribe and then it'll automatically download for you. And you'll never miss an episode.
Yep.
So
which is like could be a good or bad thing for you.
yeah, it'd be like if you miss one, that's definitely bad.
I was gonna say the other way around, but yep. I think that's all. What should we watch? What should we watch next week?
Well, since it will be our episode before Valentine's Day,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do kind of a love story, but not really a traditional 80s style love movie. I was thinking we'd hit something up with your one and only Jeff Bridges.
Oh hell yeah!
You know what I'm talking
Like
about?
Starman.
Yep. You know what that is?
I'm a motherfucking Starman. That's basically the 80s.